Bringing layered files into After Effects correctly is a key stage when it comes to creating an animation. In order to bring in a layered file into After Effects, we go to File again, and then choose Import and File, or Command-I, or simply, if you remember this, double-click anywhere empty inside the project panel here. And then we go and click once on this Illustrator file, the AI file, and it's important that we just click once, because before we import this, we need to tell After Effects how this should be imported. And we do that by clicking on this once, and then coming down here where it says Import As, and if you can't see this list, make sure you click on this Options button here. So if I click on Options, I can now see this Import As dialog box as well. If I click on this, we got three options. The first option, Footage, is going to flatten the entire document into a single layer, which means I won't have access to these individual elements. For example, in this document here, I have one layer for the airplane, one for the sun, one for the cloud and so on. But if I choose Footage, After Effects will ask me to either bring this whole thing as a flat image, or pick a single layer and bring that in only. If you want to have access to the individual layers so you can control them one by one and animate them, you need to bring this in as Composition. Now for Composition, you have two options, Composition and Composition Retain Layer Sizes. If you just do Composition, every single layer will be exactly as big as the entire composition. And that's going to have some advantages as well as disadvantages. If you do Composition Retaining the Layer Sizes, every single layer will be exactly as big as the layer's contents. So for example, if I select Composition Retain Layer Sizes, the sun layer will be just this big. So it's just going to be as big as the sun itself, as opposed to selecting the composition, which is going to make the sun layer as big as the entire composition there. So it's going to make it a little more difficult when it comes to things like rotation and scale. If you're not sure which one you should use here, I would say about 99% of the times you'll be using this Composition Retain Layer Sizes option. So let's go and click on this, and then we'll come down here and then click Open. That brings the file in as a composition, and this is what the icon of a composition looks like, into the project panel. In order to open this up, all I have to do is to go and double click on this composition, and now we have the exact same composition as we had in Illustrator, together with all the layers intact. And these layers are all taken from the Illustrator file, by the way, and that's something to keep in mind. In Illustrator, only the top level layers are taken into account. For example, if you have a layer with lots of sub-layers inside, only the top level layer is going to be taken into account, and the sub-layers are going to be merged into that same layer, which means that you won't have control over the individual elements that are inside the sub-layers. So if you are working with a designer who provides you the Illustrator files, or perhaps you are an Illustrator user yourself, you need to make sure that the layers are set properly before you save the Illustrator file and bring it into After Effects.